The weather outside doesn't match what I feel when I look at it. The forecast said clear skies, no wind, no pressure changes. But the trees outside my apartment leaned the same way all day. Branches bent like they were listening. Leaves rattled without a breeze. Cars passed, people walked by. Nothing disturbed the air. I opened a window to check. The sound stopped immediately. Dead quiet. When I closed it, the rattling resumed. Closer this time. Not louder, just nearer. Like the weather had been waiting for permission to continue. I woke up 3 days late for a life I don't remember living. My calendar jumped ahead without explanation. The date was circled in red like I'd planned for it. My phone was worse. Photos of me smiling in places I've never been, with people I don't recognize. The timestamps lined up perfectly. I checked my messages. Nothing missing, no gaps. The wind pushed against the wall calendar, flipping pages gently, deliberately. I didn't stop it. I'm afraid if I turn it back, I'll lose more time trying to catch up. The snow was perfect when I went to bed, blank, untouched. By morning, faces pressed up from underneath it. Mouths open, eyes hollow. All of them turned toward my window, frozen in the act of screaming. I watched my breath fog the glass while theirs stayed trapped below the surface. The wind kept blowing fresh snow over them, smoothing everything out. It didn't help. The faces were still there, closer now, defined. I haven't gone outside. I don't know if they're buried or waiting for me to join them. Stars aren't supposed to move when you stare at them. At first, I thought it was just my eyes adjusting. Then I realized the patterns were changing, slowly rearranging themselves into shapes that hurt to follow. Lines bent where they shouldn't. Gaps closed. I stopped looking. The cold didn't. The wind felt sharper whenever I tilted my head back, like it knew I was checking again. I swear some of the stars shifted faster when they noticed me watching. I keep my curtains closed now, but the room still feels exposed. I only record myself sleeping to make sure I keep breathing. The files are always boring. 8 hours of silence. Static. Nothing. Last night's recording was shorter. 3 hours missing. In what remained, I heard myself whispering questions into the dark, asking things I don't remember wondering. There was another sound, too, soft, patient, responding just beneath clarity, like it didn't need to speak loudly. I stopped the playback. The file kept going. I don't record anymore. I don't think it needs my permission. I've walked this street my entire life. Last night, it decided not to stop. I passed the 12th house and kept going. The road stayed straight, lamps evenly spaced, each one clicking on just before I reached it. I didn't panic. I told myself neighborhoods change. After 20 minutes, I turned back. The street lamps all shut off behind me, one by one, like they were done being useful. When I finally reached my house, the wind sighed through the trees, disappointed. This morning, the street is normal again. 12 houses, no fog, no extra street lamps. But my shoes are worn thin, and my phone refuses to load a map of that block. The wind moved through the trees like a sigh of relief, not because I came back, but because I stopped trying to follow. The horizon isn't flat anymore. It bends upward, slowly, like something pressing from the other side. At first, I thought it was a trick of light. Heat shimmer, distance, fatigue. But it didn't flatten when I moved. It rose gently like the sky was bowing under its own weight. Birds flew toward it and vanished without a sound. No feathers, no shadows falling back down. The sky isn't flat anymore, and something is leaking through where it bends. I don't go near the curve now. I don't watch the birds anymore. But the wind still comes from that direction, stretched thin, carrying voices that sound like they've been calling for a long time. I think the sky is opening, and I think it's waiting for me to look again. There's a color in the sky that only I can see. I wish I'd never noticed it. It isn't blue or gray or anything I can describe. It feels larger than color, like a stain spreading across the air. I pointed it out to my neighbors. They laughed, said the sky looked normal. When the wind picks up, the color drifts closer, soaking into the clouds like a bruise spreading under skin. The wind whispers its name when it thinks I'm listening. I don't say it back. Because once you can name a color, it stops being part of the sky and starts being part of you. The silence in my house isn't empty anymore. It's been listening. When I speak, the words don't echo. They disappear. Hours later, they come back from empty rooms, warped and delayed like someone practiced them before returning them to me. I think something in my house is hollow, and it's learning what I sound like. At night, something fills the gaps where noise should be. It sounds like wind, but it isn't. It carries fragments of my voice, rearranged, familiar, but wrong. I stopped speaking out loud days ago. It didn't matter. The silence still returns my words at night, carefully arranged, like it's practicing being me. The wind fills the rooms when it finishes, not to make noise, but to make sure I know. It's my turn to listen now. My house doesn't make noise unless I move first. When I walk, it creaks. When I stop, it listens. Last night I stood in the hallway and held my breath. The walls tightened. The floor went still. Even the pipes fell silent. When I finally exhaled, the house relaxed. Wood popping softly, grateful. The wind outside matched my breathing perfectly. That's when I understood. My house isn't haunted. It's inhabited. And whatever lives here measures time by how long I'm willing to stay alive inside it. The calendar flipped itself forward 3 days. I don't remember those days, but my phone does. Photos of me smiling in places I've never been, eating food I don't like, standing beside people whose faces blur when I focus. The wind rattled the pages like it was impatient. This morning, tomorrow was already marked, circled, highlighted. No note, no reason, just a sense of obligation. I left the calendar face down. It flipped back over anyway. The memories didn't arrive gently. They forced themselves in. They started last week. Not mine, of lives I've never lived. Drowning in black oceans, floating in voids between stars. I wake uneasy like I've misplaced entire histories. I'm worried that the cosmos is leaking and I'm catching the overflow. The wind brings more each night, whispering names of dead worlds I shouldn't know. What if existence is a shared echo, and my mind is the receiver? I try forgetting. Outside, the wind keeps speaking, like it's making sure I don't. The channel didn't exist, but my TV found it anyway. It was broadcasting my funeral. The date was next week. The mourners were people I didn't recognize, but they watched like they were already done with me. I'm worried time isn't linear, just a loop the universe forgot to close. When I tried to turn the TV off, the wind filled the static and wouldn't let go. What if the signal isn't a warning from the future, but a confirmation? The broadcast ended with the wind howling my eulogy, as if it had already been said. I woke up because the room felt smaller, not claustrophobic, measured, like something had checked the dimensions and corrected them. The ceiling was closer to my face than it should have been. Not collapsing, just nearer. The fan blades barely cleared my fingertips when I sat up. Every morning since, it's been lower by about an inch. The walls stay still, only the ceiling moves. The wind outside hums softly through the vents, patient and approving. I stopped measuring yesterday. If I know how much space I have left, it feels like I'm agreeing to it. I record myself sleeping to make sure I'm still breathing right. Last night's file wasn't silent. Between my inhales, something replied, soft, patient, like it knew when it was allowed to speak. It didn't use words exactly, just a sound shaped the way agreement feels. When I stopped the playback, the room felt empty in a wrong way, like someone had stepped out, not vanished. The wind pressed against the window, waiting for the recording to resume. I deleted the file. This morning, my phone says it's still playing. I didn't realize echoes could ask things back until the canyon used my voice to interrogate me. I shouted into the canyon, expecting the usual hollow imitation. Instead, the echo replied with questions I never asked. "Why do you hide?" it said. "Who taught you fear?" My voice came back warped, stretched thin as if the stone walls were tasting it first. Each answer I shouted only gave it more to work with. The echo learned quickly, changing its tone, its timing, its intent. I stopped calling out, but the canyon didn't stop responding. The wind carries the questions home now, whispering them through my windows at night. I'm starting to understand the truth. The void isn't empty. It's curious, and it knows I spoke first. The stars remembered something I never told. I thought stargazing was safe until the constellations rearranged themselves to confess something about me. Not from maps, from dreams I can't remember waking from. They rearranged into a pattern that spelled my secret, the one I never told anyone. Not my parents, not my friends, not even myself, not out loud. The sky felt closer after that, heavier. The wind moved through the field like a held breath, cold and amused, almost pleased. I'm not concerned anymore that the universe is vast and indifferent. I'm afraid it's been listening all along, and now it knows my name. The stars didn't move last night. They adjusted, like the sky finally found what it was looking for. They refocused, like an eye correcting itself. I noticed it while lying on my back, counting familiar constellations. Lines I'd known since childhood no longer lined up. The stars slid, slowly, carefully, until they formed something tighter, intentional. A pattern meant to be seen from right where I was. The air grew colder, not temperature, pressure. The wind passed over me, low and steady, like a hand holding my head still. I don't go outside at night anymore. Whatever the sky finished seeing, it hasn't looked away since. My radio didn't whisper my name. It warned me I wasn't supposed to exist. The radio static started whispering my name after the meteor shower. At first, I blamed interference. Atmospheric noise, leftover excitement in my head. But the voice was too vast, too layered, like it was echoing across impossible distance. It sounds concerned, almost apologetic. It keeps warning me about a correction that's approaching. Says I was never meant to be here this long, that something slipped through. Outside, the wind howls in the same rhythm as the static, rising and falling together. I'm afraid the cosmos made a mistake with me, and now it's fixing it. I haven't turned the radio off. I'm scared of what silence might finish. The wind practiced my name outside last night, and got better each time. The wind said my name wrong. Close, but not correct. It dragged the syllables across the siding, testing them like borrowed teeth. I stayed still, barely breathing, listening as it tried again. Each attempt sounded more confident, more certain. This morning, my mail was addressed to the new version. So was my phone login. Even my own voice sounded unfamiliar when I spoke. The wind isn't mocking me. It's editing. And every correction makes the old name feel heavier. Like something I'll have to leave behind to keep breathing. My reflection hesitated before copying me, and I felt it decide. I brushed my teeth, lifted my hand, blinked. It followed, but late, careful, like it was checking something before committing. Now it waits until I move first, watching, ready. This morning I stood perfectly still for 5 minutes. My reflection didn't move at all. The bathroom felt quieter than it should have. Even the fan refused to start. The wind rattled the window softly, encouraging. I finally raised my hand, slowly. My reflection smiled before I did. There's an angle in my living room that hurts to look at. It's not 90 degrees, just off by enough to make my eyes ache. Lately, things vanish into it. First my keys, then the cat. I'm starting to think the universe has folds, and this one is coming undone. The wind slips through it at night, carrying sense of places that aren't Earth. What if reality is paper thin, and this angle is a tear? I tried to board it up. By morning, the nails were on the floor, and the angle was wider. I woke up before my dream finished, and it didn't stop. I dreamt of a starless void where shapes moved without light. When I opened my eyes, the shapes were still there, folded wrong into the corners of my room. I'm starting to think sleep isn't rest, it's access. The cosmos seeps through it, and mine brought something back. The wind stirs the corners when I close my eyes, like it knows where to touch. What if dreams are doors, and I left one open? Last night, one of them stayed when I opened my eyes. The snow fell clean and smooth overnight, like it was hiding something. No footprints, no tracks. By morning, faces pressed up from beneath it. Not frozen, not dead, just remembered. They weren't screaming. They were listening. All turned toward my house, eyes hollow, patient. The wind kept blowing fresh snow over them, trying to hide the shapes. It didn't work. The outlines returned every time. I stayed inside all day. At dusk, I noticed one face looked familiar. Tonight, the snow is deeper than it should be, and the space where my face should be is already forming. The door learned my breathing before I noticed it. In, silence. Out, soft wood strain. I held my breath. The door waited. When I exhaled, it responded, pleased, like I'd answered correctly. Every door in the apartment does it now. Closets, bathroom, even the fridge. The wind slips through the cracks, keeping time when I forget. I've started breathing shallow, quiet. Not because I'm afraid of what will happen if I stop, but because I'm afraid something is learning how long I can last.